progress.
For Sukkot. It's the mimer is a mimer from Tuf Shin Mem Daled, 1983. The night before Sukkot, which is the night going into the Rebbe Marash's yard site. So the Rebbe begins, ולקחתם לכם ביום הראשון פרי עץ הדר, כפיס תמרים וענפי עץ וערבי נחל. That it says in the pasuk concerning Sukkot, you shall take for you on the first day a beautiful fruit of a tree, palm fronds, a branch of a tripled type of tree. In other words, it has triple, like we'll soon explain what this means, thick and tripled, and the willows of a brook, the willows of a river. And then it continues after that mitzvah, you shall rejoice before Hashem your God for 7 days, or a 7-day period, an era of 7 days, as we're going to explain. It's not 7 days as in consecutive, but as in one entity known as a 7-day period. It's known, the analysis of the one whose yard site is on the 13th of Tishrei, the Rebbe Marash, in the Hamshach of Mamorim known as V'kocha and in other places, Lama Nifchru Dalad Minim Elu Davke. Why specifically were these 4 species of vegetation chosen for the mitzvah of the Dalad Minim? Velakachtem Goimer. V'gam, and also Mawa Kesher Vashaychas Dinatilas Dalad Minim Velakachtem Goimer Im V'smachtem Lifnei Hashem Elokechem Shivas Yom. What's the connection between the taking of this 4 species that says at the beginning, Velakachtem, with what it says afterwards, you should rejoice before Hashem, your God, 7 days. Shurem is al simchas beis sheva. This rejoicing is a hint for the rejoicing of the house of drawing water. Also, what is continues afterwards, after saying you shall take for you, and the sukkahs you shall settle 7 days. The Mezem moving for this understood that the mitzvah of taking the 4 species, it has a connection with the idea of sukkah. Minig Yisrael, the Minig Yisrael Torah, and the custom of Yidden, and which we know the custom of Yidden is a Torah, Shenetilas is Dalad Minim Tia B'Sukkah Davke, that the taking of the 4 species is in the sukkah. So not only does it follow in the pasuk, after speaking about the mitzvah of the 4 species, the 4 kinds, the lulav and esrog and so on, not only does it follow with the mitzvah sitting in the sukkah, but the very fact that part of the mitzvah is, the ideal way, the custom of how to do the mitzvah is to do the mitzvah in the sukkah. So there has to be a connection with the sukkah, between the sukkah and the 4 kinds. So the question is, what is that connection? So he brings from the Rebbe Marash, the Rebbe Marash explains the Mashu Nifchru Dal Minim Elu Davke, why these 4 kinds were chosen, because they have something unique that's not to be found with other vegetation. Inyan ha'acht is the idea of oneness and unity. The belulav, by the lulav, kapis tmarim, it's palm fronds. Kapas chosiksiv, it doesn't say kapois, it's missing a letter vav, which could mean a term that indicates singular, that they are as if one. Darshan Hazal shetzarchli is kafus. The Chazal derived from this that they have to be bound. In other words, they have to be tightly together, not like a date palm that you see the branches all over, but rather they have to be narrow and together. Even though in essence the leaves are really separated one from another, until out of the nature of these leaves that eventually they will become totally separate. Not just that they are separate, but they don't look separate, but also that when given time, they will grow and they become like palm trees that we see that's like all over the place. But still in all, when we need to take them for the mitzvah, they have to be cleaving and holding on to each other as if they are one. V'gam, another idea that shows on unity and oneness, kol ola kafel mebeis. Every one of these leaves, quote unquote, of the palm fronds is really doubled. If you look closely at the lulav, especially after Sukkot, when you can take it apart, you'll see each leaf is really doubled. This also indicates their unity and oneness because they're together when they could be separate and open. So too, it's in the myrtle branch. Anaf eitz avis, it's called anaf eitz avis. Avis davke, the Chazal say, the idea of avis indicates an idea of being made up of three. What's it mean that it's made up of three? Telasa b'chad kina. Three coming out of like one stem or one area on the myrtle branch. There should come out three from the same place. The idea that three are coming out from the same place, it shows on unity. This is also what the Chazal said. Hados Yaakov. Hados is representative of Yaakov. The Yaakov, Paulin in Achdus, Yaakov affected and influenced and brought about the idea of unity and oneness. Gam b'shvatim. First of all, he made unity amongst the tribes, his children. And Maimon Chazal said She'amru le'banav, that his children told him, Shema Yisrael, listen Yisrael, our father Yisrael, Yaakov, listen. Havaya Lekenu, Havaya our God, Havaya Echad, he's one. So he affected that all the Shvatim were united in proclaiming the unity of Hashem. So Yaakov influenced and brought about oneness as well. That's why he's connected to the Hadas. And also, his bed was complete, meaning all of his children were the way they were supposed to be. Like Avram, not like Avram, that another child went out from him that was inappropriate. But like Yitzchak, and not like Yitzchak, that a child came out from that was inappropriate. But Yaakov, all of his children were holy and good. That shows again on unity, a unique unity that Yaakov had that Avram and Yitzchak did not have, and that's why he is represented by the Hadas. And so too, it's also in the Arava, the willow of a brook. In Aramaic, in the Gemara, the word for Arava is achvina. Why are they called achvina? Al shem shegdelim ba'achva, because they grow in fraternity. If anybody's seen a willow tree, it's like flops one on top of the other. They're all over each other. Though they are willows of the brook. The term that's used is the plural of willows. Despite their being in plural, they are in fraternity, they are in unity. And finally, and the most indicative of unity of the four kinds, of Mikolshkina Esrig, how much more so the Esrig, Pri Eitz Hadar. It is the beautiful fruit of a tree, Shenimna Rishon Bekosov. It's the first one that's enumerated in the pasuk when it speaks about the four kinds, as we mentioned before. The first thing that's said is Pri Eitz Hadar. In the Esrig is emphasized and comes to the fore the idea of unity even more so than all the other kinds of the vegetation used. The reason why this beautiful tree, the beautiful fruit tree, or beautiful fruit of the tree, is referring on the Esrig. So the Chazal make a play on the words Hadar, which means beautiful, and you could read it Hadar. It lives, like it says, it lives in the tree for an entire year. What does this have to do with unity? Throughout the year, there's all the different changes of times of the 6 periods of the year. It's a little bit more than just the seasons. That each one of these 6 periods, 12 divided by 6 is 2 months. The periods of the year that the esrog needs to live through is from one extreme to another extreme. You have winter to summer, fall, spring, etc., etc. And the esrog that lives in the tree from year to year, can handle all these changes. So that's already a unity. It's a unity that it could survive all these changes. But that's not even the ultimate unity. There's something more to this. And the Rebbe Marash adds to this another point. Not only is the esrog capable of handling all the changes of the weather, but even more so. It grows during each one of these seasons. That for it to just live on the tree without any growth, that's impossible. Then the esrog would be ruined. So therefore, the fact that it grows in every weather situation, in every season, and every era and period of the year, the joining of all the changes of the times of the year in the esrog is not only that they don't oppose each other, but actually they become one entity. The existence of the esrog, its growth, is from all of them together, specifically because they all contribute to the esrog. So it comes out that when you're looking at an esrog, you're looking at something that resulted from the different weather that took place throughout the year. They all contributed to the making of the esrog. So the esrog is a unity of all these different weather situations throughout the year. Last paragraph on the page. In addition to the idea of unity of each one of the 4 kinds, the way it's separate and by itself, the idea of taking of the 4 kinds, that it says in the pasuk, you shall take for you, the point is that you're taking all these 4 kinds and you're turning them into one mitzvah. You can't fulfill the mitzvah with one of the 3 of the 4, 2 of the 4, even 3 out of the 4. All of them must join together, and only when we have all of them together, another type of unity, then you can have the mitzvah. As the pasuk says, in general, they all become one bond, one joining, one group. Though there are 4 different types of vegetation of species. To such a degree that the physical difference between the different kinds, when you compare and differentiate between the esrog and the willow, it's from one extreme to another extreme. The esrog yesh beitam yesh beirech. The esrog both has a taste to it and has a good scent. V'arov, and the willow ein lo loitam v'loireach, and it has no flavor to it and has no scent. So that is in the physical fruits that or vegetation that you're taking together 4 things that are completely different. Befrat, especially l'fim hadis of Medrash. According to what's brought down the Medrash, the Dalid minim shebalulav, that the 4 kinds to be found in the lulav, is Hem Keneged Daled Asugim Shabi Yisrael. These correspond to the 4 different groups, the 4 different categories that there is amongst the Yidden. So the Rebbe says one actually is a cause of the other. Hainu, he says parenthetically, Shemedaled Hasugim Shabi Yisrael, from the fact that there are 4 types of Yidden, Nishtalshlo Hadaled Minim Shvelulov. They were the cause. From that came down via chain descent the 4 different kinds in the Lulav, because everything in this world comes thanks to the Jewish people. The Esrig who Keneged Yisrael, Yesh Bem Toidav, Yesh Bem Maisim Toivim. Esrig corresponds to the Jewish people, that the Jewish people have both the Torah study and doing good deeds. So those Yidden that have both together, that's like an Esrig that has both taste, that's Keneged Torah, and scent, which has to do with the mitzvahs. V'aravi Keneged Yisrael she'en b'hem loy Torah v'loy ma'asim tovim, and the willow, which has neither taste nor scent, that corresponds to Yidden that have no Torah, no good deeds. Afal Pikein, despite the fact that when we look at them, this Yid is like the ultimate, what we look at what a Jew is. And we look at this other person, we say, what connection does this other person have with person A? Afal Pikein him nasim kulon laguda alcha, still no, they become one bond, one group, one entity. The kiyum mitzvah be'esrei gudavke kishu yeshlam imay halula v'adasim v'adarovis. The fulfillment of the mitzvah in esrig is only when there's, along with the lulav, with the esrig, as we mentioned before, you need to have the lulav, you need to have the hadasim, and you need to have the willows. And the same thing the other way around. V'kiyum mitzvah ba'aravis yaideshim mitzvah from aleim hadasim v'lulav v'gam esrig. Fulfilling the mitzvah with aravis is only when you add to it the hadasim, the lulav, and also the esrig. So each one needs the other. It's one, because they only when we have them all together are they really one entity and one mitzvah. Now he's going to explain the connection with the mitzvah of sukkah that we asked earlier. What's the connection between the mitzvah of the 4 kinds, and that we specifically take it in the sukkah, and the connection that the mitzvah of sukkah follows the mitzvah of the daled minim. The mitzvahs netils daled minim, the sukkah. According to this, we understood the connection, the association of the mitzvah of taking the 4 kinds to sukkah. Therefore, the custom is to make the bracha on the 4 kinds, specifically in the sukkah. Because also sukkah is about unity. It's known sukkah is a transcendent, encompassing level. It encompasses all the matters of a person. The noisful is actually in addition to the fact that it surrounds his head and his majority of his body. That's the din. The din is that if a person is not sitting with the head and the majority of the body in the sukkah, he's not fulfilled the mitzvah of sukkah. To fulfill the mitzvah of sukkah, at least the head and the majority of his body has to be inside. But in addition to that, it's also where he's eating from has to be inside the sukkah, or else he's like leaning outwards, etc. So it also encompasses his table. Shehu bedugmas lechem, the table is corresponding to the bread. Shekoilos kol tzarchei adam, that Chazal say that lechem, when we use the term bread in the broad sense could mean all the needs of a person. Similar that we have in slang, that money, those of you that are old enough to remember that money is called bread. Why? Because bread is a general term that can encompass all the person's needs. So what does this mean? That the sukkah doesn't just encompass the head and the majority of body, it encompasses his table, it encompasses therefore his bread, and it encompasses all the person's needs. This means all the limbs and organs of a person, from his head to his foot, even the needs of a person that's even lower than his foot. His foot is part of him. The person's needs are external things that are coming to him. They are surrounded and they are united in the same makif, in the same transcendent level. Everything is being joined within this mitzvah. Another aspect of unity that we find in Sukkot, that because of that, the Dalet minim, which is about unity, is taken in the Sukkah, but because the Sukkah is unity, the Chol Yisrael Ruyim Leisha B'Sukkah Achas. The Chazal say all Yidden are worthy of sitting in the same Sukkah. There's no different levels of Sukkahs like the Beis HaMikdash. There's different levels. There's the Kodesh HaKadoshim, which the Kohen Gadol goes in once a year. There's the Kodesh, where the Kohanim go in during Avodah, etc. And there's different sections in the Beis HaMikdash. But Sukkah, all Yidden are worthy of sitting in the same Sukkah. Not only does the transcendent level of Sukkah able to encompass and join all the disparate parts in the person himself, his head, his body, his feet, his needs, his table, his bread, etc., etc., but also al shugam koilol ma'achedus acheluki dargis dechlolus Yisrael. It also includes and joins all the different levels of the whole Klal Yisrael. That they are divided by the 4 types and categories that are hinted in the 4 kinds of the lulav. The ischalkas zui dar klal, the division of those that have smell and taste, and those that only have smell, and those that only have taste, those that have Torah, those that have Torah mitzvahs, those that have only mitzvahs, those that don't have anything. This is a general division that there is in Klal Yisrael. V'dalet sugim elu, and these 4 types, archetypes that are to be found in Klal Yisrael, nachlokim, leprotim, protim, adl shishim ribui, they're divided into details, and details, as one of my kids calls them, until 600,000 different parts. Shagam haischalkas to shishim ribui from klali, and the truth is, even the division of 600,000 neshamas and parts is still in a general manner, like it's explained in Tanya the Shikmvur, but Tanya the Shishim ribui neshamas hem shroshim, that all the 600,000 neshamas are really root neshamas. Each one of these 600,000 root neshamas is divided into 600,000 sparks. So do the multiplication, 600,000 times 600,000. The whole prata neshamas, and all these detailed neshamas of the specifics, 600,000 times 600,000. Though there are distinctions and divisions between all these multiple neshamas from one extreme to another extreme, still in all they are worthy of all sharing and sitting in the same sukkah. They are encompassed by and joined by the same transcendent level until they're worthy enough to sit in the same sukkah. This yash was to be settled, not just sitting, but in a way that's settled. In other words, it's not temporary or not in a very vague type of joining, but it's settled. It's something that's there in a solid way. Last paragraph on the page. Just like the transcendent and encompassing level of Sukkah includes and joins all the different levels of Yidden, the Chol Yisrael, the Klal Yisrael of every single Jew and of Klal Yisrael in general, this makif of Sukkah also includes and joins all the specific times, all the divisions of times. This is what it says, you shall settle in Sukkot for 7 days. The Shivas Yamim, Shivas Yemei HaHekef, the 7 days that is being represented by the 7 days of Sukkot are the 7 days of the cycle of the week. And that 7-day weekly cycle always repeats itself. So really, it's again, it's like an archetype of time in general. The 7 days of the week include the division of the entire period of time. And as we know, the 7,000 years of the world's existence is something that's hinted in and included in the 7 first days of creation. And the idea that you shall sit in Sukkot for 7 days, through the Sukkah, all the 7 days of the cycle of the week, they become one entity. Like Rashi says, when you use the phrase Shiv As Yamim, not Shiv O Yamim, it's 7 of days. It's an entity. It's one era, one period, one time period that is made up of 7 days. It's not about 7 consecutive days. It's not cumulative. It's an entity made up of 7 days. Meaning, Sukkot turns the disparate individual days into one entity. That's one of the reasons why the custom is to make the bracha on the 4 kinds, specifically in the sukkah, because both of them, the sukkah and the 4 kinds, is the idea of unity and oneness. The unity of sukkah is concerning shelter, home, house, the external unity. Bechinas makif, the transcendent part of a person, the part that has to do with the externals, like the home is the external part of the person. Through shaking the 4 kinds in the sukkah, we are drawing down the transcendent level of the sukkah to make it internalized. Like it's explained both in Kabbalah and Chassidus, the inyan an anuim, the idea of the shaking of the lulav and esrog, to draw down the level of spheres hadas in malchus of Zeir Anpin, that's in the chest of Zeir Anpin. Whatever it is, the main thing is it's about taking the makif and drawing it down the pnimis. That's why you need to have that should touch the chest, the lulav and the 4 kinds, because it's about drawing it down internally. Through fulfillment of the mitzvah of the taking of the 4 kinds. Mitzvah maloshen tzavsa v'chibur. The word mitzvah is the word togetherness and joining. The person becomes joined with the mitzvah. Through that he becomes joined also with the one who commanded the mitzvah. That's also why it says, "You shall take for you on the first day." Seemingly, why is it the first day? The Medrash talks about it. It's the 15th day of the month. Why is it called the first day? Rishon koi ala keser. First is referring to keser. We'll skip the brackets. Top of the next page, right after the brackets, the keser u'maloshem makif. The word keser also has to do with encompassing. Shemakif v'soiv v'skol asfiras al kulam b'shavah. The keser encompasses and encircles all the spheres equally. Dugmas hamakiv the sukkah is similar to the encompassing level of the sukkah. The inyan b'yom harishan hu hamshachas b'chinas hakeser rishon b'chinas hazman b'yoyim. B'yoyim harishan, rishon first, we said goes on keser, yoyim that goes on time. So you're drawing down the keser, which is the rishon, into bayoyim, into the level of time, into seder ishtalshalos. Velakachtem bayom harishon. The idea until daled minim mamshichim hamakiv the keser rishon b'pnimius canal. Through taking the 4 kinds, we are drawing down the makif of keser, the first level in the internal level, like we said before. So now we're going to go back to the other question that we asked at the beginning, which is what's the connection between the daled minim, the 4 kinds, and the rejoicing of the Simchas Beis HaShe'eva. V'zeu gam ha'kesher velakachtem lechem gomer. L'sefer the Kro smachnu fnei havai lekechem. This is also the connection, that you shall take the 4 kinds. And this is the connection with the end of the pasuk, that says you shall rejoice before Hashem your God. Ki achdus v'simcha shayachem zol hazeh. Because unity and joy are connected one to another. The simcha parts together. Simcha breaks through barriers. The inyan ha'achdas shel kama dvarim, and the idea of unity of many things together. Why they bittul hageder v'amechitza shemavdelos bein advarim. That's through removing and nullifying any type of boundary and separation between the things. So you need to have joy to break those boundaries, to join everything together. That's the connection between taking the four kinds, which is unity. To rejoicing before Hashem your God, the idea simcha, through joy. Simcha, the base of Simcha's base Sheva, she's Simcha G'dol B'Yoser, especially the joy of the Simcha's base of Sheva, which is a great joy. The joy breaks through all barriers and boundaries. Until such a bursting and breaking through barriers, completely nullifies every idea of a definition and a mechitza. Like to explain the details of what that is. Okay, well, we can skip that brackets. Through that we come to unity. Until true unity. Through that there becomes a pleasantness before me, that I said and my will was fulfilled, Hashem says. And the one whose yahrzeit it is explains it at length. He makes out of it a whole topic. The that when it says nachasroch before me, that means a very high level, to the innermost level. Panai is from the word pnimius. Hutainug v'nachasroch, the boirei, it's the delight and the pleasing of the Creator. And the fact that fulfillment of mitzvahs has to be with joy and gladness of heart, that's the delight and the pleasing of the creation. The ultimate perfection of mitzvah, from the word togetherness and joining, is that the delight and the pleasure of the Yidden to fulfill the mitzvah will be one with the delight and the pleasure and the pleasantness of the Creator. And now we know why Shmini Atzeres Sukkos Torah follows this. V'zeu gam mashalach l'shivus Sukkos. Who Yom Shmini Atzeres? Why after the 7 days of Sukkos comes the day of Shmini Atzeres? The Shivus Yomim Shivus Hekav, the 7 days are the 7 days of the weekly cycle, which includes the whole entire cycle of time, like we spoke about earlier. V'shmini hu shomer es hekav, and 8 is what is beyond and outside of and encompasses the cycle. Like it's explained in the response of the Rashba that's brought down in many of our Chassidus. It's also known the Shmini Atzeres Unyan Atainu. The Shmini Atzeres is also the idea of delight. Ki Shmini, the word Shmini, which means 8, umaloshin shamnunis. It's also from the word fattiness, showing us something enjoyable. Haba metainu, that comes from delight. Like it says, Shmua Tov Tadashin Otzim, that good news will make the bone become fatter and increase in size. So we see that delight has to do with fat. Drawing down Hashem's delights on Rosh Hashanah. Like it says, you should blow in the month, you should blow shofar, the shofar b'chinas tainu. Shofar has to do with delight, because shofar shows on beauty, and beauty has to do on delight, because in Aramaic shofar is the word shufre, or beauty. The only thing is that on Rosh Hashanah the delight is concealed, and the revelation is in the Yom Tov Sukkos liyom chagenu. That's why it says tiku b'chodesh shofar b'kesa, when it's concealed, and then it's going to come out revealed liyom chagenu, to the day of our celebration going on Sukkos. Ubefrat b'Shmini Atzeres, especially so that the delight of Rosh Hashanah becomes revealed on Shmini Atzeres. Ub'Shmini Atzeres oisim simchas Torah. Shmini Atzeres, we make the rejoicing of the Torah, which is in Eretz Yisrael, where it's the same day. The idea of Simchas Torah also has to do with Keser, Keser Torah, the crown of the Torah. As it's known Shmini Roshan, Shmini Atzeres, Gimel Ksarim for Roshan until Shmini Atzeres, it's 3 crowns. Roshan, who Keser Malchus, it's the crown of kingship. As we know, we coronate Hashem as a king. Yom Kippurim, Keser Kahuna. Yom Kippurim is the crown of the Kahuna. As we know, that's the Kohen Gadol's day. All the avodas were done through the Kohen Gadol in the Beis HaMikdash, and the Kohen Gadol entered the Kodesh Kadoshim. Shmini Atzeres was Torah, Keser Torah, and Shmini Atzeres was Torah, that's the crown of the Torah. Simchas Torah, Nichol Gam Keser Shem Tev, and Simchas Torah is included also the Keser of a good name. Good name is created through good deeds. So Simchas Torah doesn't only have the idea of Torah, but also has Keser Shem Tev that the Pirkei Avos says is Oil al Gabeim. It's even higher than all the 4 and all the other 3, and it like rides on top of it. Why should I did Maisa mitzvahs through the action of mitzvahs ki gadol Talmud, the greatness of Torah study, which is Inyan Torah b'Simchas Torah, the idea of Torah during Simchas Torah, Shemevil de Maisa, it brings to action. Concerning this crown, the crown of a good name, the action of the mitzvahs, they said that it's upon all the other 3 crowns of Keser Malchus, Keser Kahuna, and Keser Torah, like we learn in Pirkei Avos. Because specifically in this, in the service of a person, in fulfillment of mitzvahs, then the will of Hashem becomes fulfilled, that He desired the actions of your hand. All these things are initially brought down in the way of crowns, which means it's still brought down in the way that's makif and transcendent. Afterwards, they're drawn down also in an internalized fashion, until it comes down in the simple sense, below 10 handbreadth, till it becomes that it will be for Hashem the reign, literally in this world, that it will be a king. Through the avodah of making me king over you. Through the request that we requested during Rosh Hashanah davening and Yom Kippur davening, reign over the entire world in your glory. You should appear that every made thing should know that you made him. The expression Pa'ul, made, is referring to the world of action, to this physical world of action, that there's nothing lower than it. Also in this world, they should see in a revealed way that Hashem is a king over the entire earth. Specifically, the earth is where He's seen as king. Also all the nations will come to the King Hashem Tzvokos. They will come to celebrate the Yom Tov Sukkos, like we say at Haftarah, the first day of Sukkos, how the Goyim will come to the Beis HaMikdash then, because there will be for Hashem the reign down here below 10 handbreadths, the true and complete redemption through Mashiach, speedily in our days, Mamish.